Welcome to our second annual Skills Day. I can't believe it was just last December that for the first time Phenom presented to thousands of you on skills. We talked all about skills. We talked skills for talent acquisition, skills for talent management, and skills for HRIT. And since then, an entire year has taken place. And the wonderful news is many of you have taken action. You've gone from hype to actually understanding what skills can do for you in your environment. So for talent acquisition professionals, a lot of that was learning how to do skills-based hiring, or at least how skills come into play during the hiring process. For talent management professionals, it's about taking skills data and scaling that across an entire organization. And it doesn't matter what size organization or team you have. Many companies are starting to do that via AI agents. Those same agents that are helping talent management are helping managers have meaningful conversations with employees. From an employee perspective, they're looking at how to take skills-based data, understand it, and then achieve their career aspirations. For HRIT professionals, it's really about data governance and standardization. So those are the three main areas that we focused on last year, and we're going to continue to focus on this year. New this year for Skills Day, which we are really happy to have been part of this, is hearing the practitioner stories, the pain that they had to work through, the learning that they had to go through in order to make you more successful in your skills journey. We're really excited to add those stories onto Skills Day. So now, to kick things off, I'm going to turn it over to our co-founder and CEO, Mahi.
Welcome to Skills Day 2024. This is the second year we're really doing this. This is amazing what we really got like last year as a feedback. And we thought like, how can we really improve it at a different parts and make sure you understand where skills are really evolving, where we are really going with it. And that's what we want to really witness to you. Every particular conference, whatever we really talk about, or every webinar, the most important thing for us is our purpose, helping 1 billion people find the right work. That's the reason why we exist. That's what this company is for. Now, coming down to what's happening in the market right now, the work is dynamic. It's constantly switching. And right now, the switch you all can witness, it's ridiculously different than we have ever witnessed. Every 25 years, there's a technological transition happens that reshapes how we engage with products and technology. And that changes how an organization manages their own talent and how they design their work. And that 25 years right now is up. I think we are going to redefine the way we design work and how we really manage talent from here on. We have seen in the last 5 years, things have evolved differently, but right now the transition is much more serious and different. Now take a driver. Like anybody who's actually driving for the last 30 years know like, hey, what you're really driving, which cars you're really using, and what really worked. But now let's look at a BMW which is having a driver assist. Most of the cars today has a driver assist, irrespective of which car you really drive today. Here and there are certain variations, but you do have this. 30% of your driving can be handled by your driver assist. Some people might argue it's 5%, some people might say it's 10%, some other might say 30%. But in general, it has a capacity to handle 30% of your driving if you are going for a long drive. That's what is the truth. Now, if you go to the next side of this equation, take an example of Tesla Autopilot. I actually don't drive 70% of the time, and that's my choice. But there are some people who say like, Tesla Autopilot is not at 70%, it might be at 30%. There are people who are saying it's 80%. But you can really see it's anywhere between over 50% of your driving. What you're doing today need not be done as it used to be. And now if you see the steering here, it's a half steering, like which is basically people really talk about like, hey, it's a cool steering. No, it's an indication saying like, you don't need steering eventually. Now if you go to Vimeo, this is not a car company. This is a driver company. They created a driver. The car is actually Jaguar. Google really didn't care about the car. They care about like, can I recreate a driver? This is 100%. Now, here is a point that when you really get into a Waymo, the first 5 minutes, you are super tensed. What will happen to you? The next 5 minutes, you're in wonder. The next 5 minutes, you're back to your devices, watching your YouTube channels, or listening to some podcast and don't even care what happens. And that's what is really going on with skills today. The level of automation, what we really brought into these equations are entirely different. Now, what happens is when you use driver assist, you're basically making the skills to be relevant to what the driver assist can do and can do. When you go to Tesla Autopilot, you're thinking about a process change. The way you drive is actually changed at a different level. The job you're doing inside the car is different. Then you go to Vimeo, it's a system change. You're not even driving. The work you do in that particular car is different from the tasks you do in a generally like a car where you are driving by yourself. Now, how many of you have seen this? These are, if you're doing a self-driving like Vimeo or any other cars for that matter, there are drivers who are sitting in the back end who can take over your car if it is in a very awkward situation. It's a 0.3% error rate margin. It's not 100%. They have improved algorithms. Right now, the algorithms can take over, but there is all this kind of infrastructure do exist. Where is this really coming from? It's primarily from the military. The last 10 years to 15 years of all military wars are primarily using drones. You're operating thousands of miles away from a particular given location, way further than where you are really sitting today, and operating the drones, which are very, very complex. And this was translated into multiple industries. You moved into construction, you moved into agriculture, the drones are used everywhere, and transportation. All these are different aspects which are really coming into the picture to really make sure you don't need to be physically be there exactly the way you used to, but humans can really get advantage of it. And that actually changes the jobs and the skills you need. If you look at like the number of jobs posted by military for unmanned aircraft system operators, you don't even need a human being to be there. These are very unique jobs really came up in the last 3 to 4 years. That's pretty much. In the last 10 years, military is hiring, but all these industries are ramping up. Why is this happening? It's because everybody wants more productivity, because productivity is where profitability comes into picture. Now, why do you need self-driving cars? The cost of driving a car has a different equation because cost of transportation is different based on what you really use as a product in the back end. You could save anywhere between 70% to almost like 30% on every particular transportation you use. Like if you look at any Western world today, the workforce gap is constantly really widening up because of the median age and the birth rates. And because of that, like technology has to help and it has to bridge the gap. There is no other method what we got today. Now, that is what really dictates to what skills, what jobs, what work, and what productivity you really bring into the picture. Now, let's look at a user level, what a user does, what task a user does, and what skills a user needs. So in general, the type of work what we do as individuals, we have 3 different tasks every day we do. Analytical tasks, desirable tasks, and process tasks. We all hate process and analytics. We all want to do what are the desirable tasks that we as humans can do. But in general, we do very, very minimal desirable tasks, and we do most of the time analytical and process tasks in which we don't like at all. So now if you apply intelligence and automation to these 2 equations of analytical tasks and process tasks, you constantly look at the zone of efficiency, which is what automation can really do. Then you can start looking at what is intelligence can do in this particular workforce. You can think about zone of effectiveness. And this is what is AI first approach is all about. Now, in this new equation, your desirable task time will really amplify to a different level. And your traditional experience is different from the AI first experience in the skills world. What is most important is the talent agility of every employee is the most critical attribute and competence the companies has to be built. The reason for that is in this new desirable task, what you have and the time you have, what are the skills you need to do the human first experience, which is all about the human and the work experience can be really amplified by the AI first infrastructure. And that's what Phenom is actually working on to really think about. What we have understood in this particular process is, unlike IQ, the soft skills are the most important thing. Everybody is talking. This is a critical landscape right now to really make sure we are really evaluating in our interviews. People have soft skills at a level we have never witnessed. Now comes to the team level work. What is happening on the team level work? What we need to think about in this particular arena. Now, let's say you want to start a YouTube channel with 3 of your friends. There's a person who can really create content, there's a person who can really present, and there's a person who can really record the whole infrastructure, or one person can do all of the 3. Now what happens is, the workflow is you actually generate the content, you record it, and then you do a speech to text translation, and the translation is reversed and QA'd, and then you really convert into a different language so that it can be podcasted in a different language. The newer infrastructure is, you still have to really create your content, but using the generative AI infrastructure, you can create content a lot faster than you can think about. You can record your infrastructure, you can use AI and convert the overall transcript super fast. You can translate it. Then you have a human who will review it to make sure everything is intact. Then you'll use AI to make sure the whole thing is reviewed and translated and QA'd. And the translated infrastructure comes out into the picture so that you have a YouTube which is translated in multiple languages. Which is not just machine really did it, but you are actually in control of this. This used to take previously days to weeks. Right now, you can be done in a couple of hours. This is happening for every knowledge worker job. It doesn't matter which job you're really talking about. From marketing to sales to risk to human resources to product to services to IT. Now, being in HR, you have these 8 personas which we always really think about. The candidate, the talent marketer, the recruiter, the manager, the employee, the HRIS, and so on. Now, you are really doing all these different kinds of functions which you operate upon, whether it's workforce planning, learning experience, organizational agility, or work design, or talent data maturity. Do you think what you're doing in the last 10 years, you need to continuously do that? And that's what Phenom is building products for. What is a new paradigm? What skills you need in these desirable tasks you have to deliver, and how they're different than what it used to be. It's not like what we're really thinking and what our vision is. It's what's happening today. You will hear today a lot of our customers, what they're really doing, how they're really using this skills-first organization or skills-powered organizations, how they're really building this infrastructure, how they're working with Phenom in general. Or in the market, there are multiple things they're really doing. What they're really doing, you will listen to all of those, and that will be exciting for you to really learn from it. And also some of it you can really teach us. Maybe we are not doing certain things which we want to learn from you too. So now we'll show the product of how this whole thing really comes into picture.
Welcome everyone. My name is Cliff Yurkevich. I am head of strategy at Phenom. You know, the skills conversation feels a lot like a marketing buzzword. The market has saturated the skills conversation around HR tech for the last couple of years. I think there's a bit of disillusionment, what we call sort of a semantic satiation. We're becoming desensitized to the phrase. Why? Well, because change can be daunting. Even having the conversation around skills is very, very real. It takes an effort, a true vision. It takes thought leadership and commitment. And that's pretty significant to most companies, and they don't know where to start. So last week, I held our customer advisory council meeting in Boston on the campus of MIT. And we were really fortunate to have a guest speaker, Gene Kesselman, who is MIT's director of their venture studio, as well as a lecturer, talks a lot about innovation, but he doesn't use the word innovation. They use the word translation. That means the actualization of innovation. And what's different about MIT is if you walk around talking about innovation, no one's going to pay attention to you. If you say, I've got an idea and I'm ready to translate it, or I'm going to talk to you about translation of an innovation, that's a very different conversation. What they mean by that is I've thought of something and I'm ready to put it into action. I have a plan. I know how to do this, at least a place to start. Well, skills falls into the same meaning trap. We talk about skills, but so few are acting on the way to change their organizations. We often hear we don't have the data, we can't change because of process, our leaders are focused on other things. Well, skills translation is what we need. Taking what we know about skills and creating an actioned talent organization. The other issue is focused on employee experience. We talk about skills, and most of that conversation is really natural to helping someone grow in their career within the organization. But it's just as important for talent acquisition. If I could tell you 4 things that skills can help transform your organization, I guarantee you'd want this information. And those 4 things are this. We can tell you what you're good at. We can tell you what your organization is learning. We can tell you what your work says are your needs for the organization. And finally, we can tell you where your market is going. If you take all those things into account, you can predict not only where you're going to grow to, but the people you need to hire and retain that are going to take you there. It goes from tell me about your skills to knowing what they already are. It opens the door for far more important conversations about what the prospective person values, the culture that will drive success, and how they can meaningfully connect to the organization. And those that are engaged in this effort, this purpose, are driving a new vision for growth of their organizations. Now we dig deeper. It's time to double down on the skills conversation and why we are just getting started. But it's not just talk for us at Phenom, it's translation. So let the translation begin.
All right. Hi, everyone. Great to be with you today. I'm Frances Sims with Deloitte Consulting. I am part of our human capital practice focused on workforce transformation and particularly skills-based organizations. I'm coming to you from Washington, D.C. I've been at Deloitte for 10 years and really been helping clients think about what it means to be a skills-based organization for the past 3.5 years, I would say. So why skills? I know, obviously, you must be interested in skills. That's why you're here today for Skills Day. And you're not alone. Organizations throughout different industries around the world have really started to recognize the promise of managing workforce skills and are really interested in how to do this more effectively to drive value for their organizations and also to create a better talent experience. There are a few big reasons we see that organizations like yourself are really focused on skills right now. One is the massive change in work. Just think about all of the technology that has changed in the last decade or so. And no more so are we seeing more technological advancement than the advent of Gen AI. It's really resulted in a pressure to tap into new skills, as every organization is now a tech company, for instance, and needs to be able to rapidly upskill and rapidly find the talent that they need to effectively compete. Another reason organizations are interested in skills, though, is because they recognize that they can't simply hire for every skill gap challenge that they have. They really need to look inside their organization to better use the skills that they have, especially in this time of economic uncertainty. And then finally, workforce preferences are really focused on having more opportunities to grow in their careers. I think we all have seen the research around the younger generations that expect to grow more quickly, to expect to have opportunities made available to them by their employers. And we really see a lot of organizations that are tapping into a skills-based approach to provide more visibility and transparency to their organization and to their workforce. There's risks of not participating in this and not moving to at least capture more skills data and use that skills data. And one of those potential risks is to business strategy. Research has found that there's billions of dollars that are left on the table when you are not taking action to upskill your workforce and to close skill gaps. There's inefficiency and lack of productivity, and there's a risk of losing some of your best talent. So what does it mean to be a skills-based organization? Well, we believe at its fundamentals, it's about gathering skills data to drive talent decisions. There's really two primary forms of this skills data. One is skills supply. What are the skills that your workforce has? And what are skills demand? What skills do you need to be successful in delivering on your business strategy? And when you assess your skills supply and understand what the gaps are between supply and demand, that then informs a whole host of talent strategies, all the way from workforce planning through talent acquisition, performance management and rewards, and learning and upskilling and talent marketplaces. So it's really this desire to actually create more connectivity across the talent lifecycle in order to better use this data and make these holistic decisions around talent that ultimately will create a better talent strategy. So skills demand is multifaceted in terms of how organizations are thinking about this. There is that sort of now focused that a lot of organizations are taking to start out with, which is creating a skills taxonomy and really defining what skills do we know are critical to the jobs that are important to our organization. So really being able to select from tens of thousands of skills and really say, okay, the most critical skills for our job families and job roles in our organization. So that's the now focus. However, really smart and more advanced organizations know that they need to be looking to the future as well. So while they are defining their skills taxonomy now, they're building in different processes that are going to help them gather market data, use that data to make better informed decisions and to update that skills taxonomy over time. So all the way in the future, as you can see on this slide, is really trying to understand what is our business strategy, right? Where are we going? Where are we trying to compete? What is work going to look like in 5 to 10 years for my organization? And as a result, understanding what skills, therefore, am I going to need in my organization to drive that work? Whether it be brand new roles that are going to obviously need new skills, or just cross-cutting skills that everyone's going to need to have to really drive that business strategy. But there's other key inputs as well around skills demand. One is, of course, gathering market insights and trends through talent intelligence platforms, for instance, like Phenom. And then, of course, discussing skill needs throughout the talent lifecycle. Making sure that skills demand is part of the everyday conversation among business and talent leaders. So all of these pieces together need to be fit together, woven together into a strategy to be constantly sensing skills demand in the organization and to bake that skills demand information into your decision making. So what about skills demand specifically? What have we been hearing? Deloitte is constantly sensing around what types of skills are important in our own organization, as well as externally. So we recently conducted a survey of 1,000 US professionals to hear about their perceptions of corporate learning and development programs and the skills that they feel they need. 87% believe that human skills like adaptability, leadership, and communications are integral to their career development. But only 52% think their company values employees with human skills more than those with technical skills. And 94% are concerned that future generations will enter the workforce without the necessary human skills. So the top 3 skills that workers want their employers to prioritize are teamwork and collaboration, communication, and leadership skills. So as you're building your skills strategies, it's important not to leave out human skills as part of that strategy. And that's definitely an important nuance to keep in mind. Indeed, we also have been forming a point of view at Deloitte around what skills are critical to drive value from Gen AI investments in particular. So back to that first topic about the importance of skills to drive value from technology investments. We have been doing research on what makes companies successful in this area. And what we found is that on top of critical technical skills, certainly around Gen AI, understanding how it works, prompt engineering, understanding large language models, all of those sort of critical technical skills are really critical human skills around emotional intelligence, around information synthesis, around quality control, the ability to detect hallucination, for instance. So there are those really important technical skills, but also really important human skills. So finally, what is Deloitte doing? What are we doing ourselves? Certainly, in the type of business that we are in, skills are critical. And so we are on our own journey around gathering skills data and making more informed decisions around talent management using that skills data. So the first thing we're focused on is what a lot of our clients are focused on, which is modernizing our tech infrastructure, implementing data and tech that provides trusted, reliable skills data mapped to people and work, which, as many of you know, is a lot simpler said than done. So we're very much focused on that integration and making sure we're capturing good data. We're also capitalizing on skills intelligence, so increasing access to market and workforce trends to enable proactive planning. So really bringing data into those business and talent discussions. And finally, shifting to skills-based strategies. I've been part of a program around credentialing, for instance, where we're really focusing on what are the hot skills that are critical for Deloitte's success and really rewarding our people for spending time building those skills and proving through education and experience and exposure that they have the ability to deliver on those skills in their work. Thank you all so much for joining me for this presentation, and good luck to you as you work on integrating skills into your talent decision-making.
Hey everyone, I'm Sonia Hicks, Senior Director of Product Management at Phenom. It is great to be with you here today. In this session, I'll walk you through our approach to unifying data. Today, we're focusing on skills, but let me take a moment to zoom out for a sec, and so we can explore the bigger picture. We see data not as the isolated pieces, but a network of connected entities and relationships. So within this universe, skills, job title, job architecture, they're interconnected with candidate and employees. Candidates engage with recruiters, talent acquisition teams, and hiring teams. Candidates then become employees who engage with broader HR teams, their managers, their colleagues, all of whom are part of the organization with its own structures and business processes. Understanding this connecting and these relationships is the foundation of our ontology. And by linking these dots, we create a unified view of talent and business processes. The second point I want to try to make is that our skills ontology is dynamic. We have implemented processes, tools, and systems in place to make sure it remains relevant and fresh. Also, I like to call out the global and enterprise level ontology. No two companies are alike. That's why our ontology is designed to be flexible, allow our customer to layer their own ontology on top of Phenom's foundational structure. This way, we can better support the diverse needs of our customers, no matter their size and industry. Now, the true power of ontology comes to life in the application layer. It drives processes like sourcing, screening, matching, recommendations, career passing, workforce planning, and employee development across our platforms. We'll dive a little bit deeper into that in just a moment. Now, let me put into perspective of the skills where we have built our ontology from. Over the past 12 years, Phenom has seen a large global data sets spanning from candidates, jobs, job titles, companies, industries, and skills. We're leveraging this rich data sets and apply various techniques in machine learning and more recently, large language models to standardize, classify, and enrich our skills data. Let's break down how skills ontology is structured and maintained. Standardization and normalization. Skills names can be really messy, right? A same name or a same meaning of the name can come from different forms. Abbreviated version, full spell out, UK spelling, US spelling, variations, right? So we transform these messy, inconsistent skills names into standardized terms so that skills are meaningful and actionable across processes like parsing and matching. Metadata enrichment. For each skills, we build a hierarchy of such as domains, categories, and added metadata such as descriptions, similar skills, related skills, and trending like emerging and declining skills. So this is the contextual layer enables better insight, search, and recommendation performance. Next, I want to touch upon the skills to role relationships, right? We associate skills with roles, map them to industry standards like ONET, and define their importance, whether they are necessary, core, specialized, and emerging. Lastly, as I mentioned earlier, because skills data is constantly evolving, we improve and enhance our ontology with market data. This includes new job posting, we see new resume, user-generated skills, and very importantly, human-in-the-loop feedback to ensure our ontology stays up to date. Now, let's see how this translates into real-world applications. In ERM, or Employee Relationship Management, you can use Phenom Global Ontology as a baseline to understand skills, role progression, and skills gaps. You can also add and refine custom skills, skills mapping, so they can be used not only for skills insight, but in talent acquisition and talent management applications to improve your hiring efficiency and employee retention. In talent acquisition, skills are critical for resume, job parsing, fit score calculation, and matching criteria across candidate experience. Your custom skills can also be used to further refine the recommendations to match your specific needs. Lastly, in talent management, skills are the backbone of talent management applications, right? Including internal mobility, employee profile, resume parsing, matching, gigs, mentoring, learning, career passing, and skills gap analysis, and so on. I believe you see this and a couple of things that I mentioned earlier later in action at the rest of the part of your skills day. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.
So we just talked about all this data, all the data that you need in order to get a skills architecture off the ground, all the data that can come from all the different places in your organization, how to unify the data, how to standardize the data. And what does that mean when you have all that data together? What can you do with that data? So, we talked about ontologies. Love ontologies here at Phenom for sure, because we have so many robust ontologies. And you can see some of the ones here where we've actually sliced and diced it by industry. So if I looked at the airline industry, I can go in here and see all of the relevant roles for the airline industry. If I wanted to dive into one, I could certainly drill in and see the skills that are associated with that role. That are specific to the industry, or soft skills, technical skills, right? All this great data, even about skills I have across my organization, and even the progressions that are common for people to move from one role to another or into a role from other roles. So all of this data, right, that you have now that you've used the AI and used the ontologies to kind of start to build this skills architecture. What does that mean? What do you do with this data? It really has to be actionable. And so we use the data in every single part of the platform. And you're going to see it in a lot of detail as we go through Skills Day. But you see it on the candidate side when they're applying for jobs and they're coming in and they're giving us skills data, right? And then they're getting recommendations for jobs. You see it in the CRM with recruiters, right? Where you have matching criteria that are skills-based, right? In order to drive better matches and to have recommendations from the AI for people who fit the bill, right? So you have it on the candidate side, you have it on the recruiter side, you even have it at the hiring manager level, where they can look at their jobs and they can see the candidates that are associated with those jobs, and they can look at the skills of those candidates, right? And these are the same skills that the recruiter sees. These are the skills that the candidate is entering into the career site, whether it be related to a resume upload, whether it be related to questions they're answering, whether it be related to assessments or other information they're filling out, right? So connected candidate experience, connected recruiter experience, connected manager experience, skills across all of them, but doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop once you're hired. The skills come with you. And this is a very powerful continuum of information, right? So we talked at length about unified data. This is what unified data does for you. It makes you very powerful when you engage on the talent acquisition side. It also makes it very powerful for you to engage on the talent management side, where you can now have skills in employee profiles that came from the hiring process. And those same skills are driving things like career pathing, right? Where people can come in and find, relevant roles, or they can search for roles across the organization. And they can see, what are the skills that are required for this role, right? Where are the gaps that exist? And then all of that information doesn't just stop with the employee and their profile. All of that profile information is available here to HR, to the business partners, to talent management folks. So again, you kind of see the skills profile here at the employee level. So that data that we started with all the way at the candidate side, that came into the recruiting experience, that now passed its way to the hiring manager and created this profile of skills for the hiring manager. Now that data is available once the employee starts their job and as they move through their career in the organization. And then, of course, the HR team has access to all that data so they can make decisions on it. What types of decisions are they going to make? Well, we're going to show you all the great features of the platform, from what the recruiters can do with skills and AI, to what talent managers can do with skills and AI, to even what employees can do with skills and AI in a lot more detail throughout the day. This is just a quick overview and why skill data is so important, and then how you can make it actionable throughout the Phenom platform. So from here, let's dive into the details and start on the talent acquisition side to see what are the applications that we enable, what are the success stories that some of our customers have had, and where are skills actually and actively being used in these processes for talent acquisition.
Special thanks to all of our presenters who talked about the latest skills and trends and the importance of having comprehensive, standardized, unified data. Now let's shift our focus to talent acquisition and using skills for better hiring and faster productivity.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm the global leader for SAP HR, and why I'm here. For me, it's a very important point coming with hundreds of our clients always on our desk is they're asking, hey guys, what we should do with our skill-based people, where we should go to, and if is AI a universal remedy if we would implement and then a magic happens. And unfortunately, we need to tell the clients, hey guys, there is more around. That's what we have learned with hundreds of our projects and clients globally, saying, hey, you need to start really thinking, what is your global strategy, and map it down to HR strategy, map it down to your IT strategy. And what really does it mean for you? You need to map your company goals, your overarching goals, your growth, your innovation, and as well sometimes internationalization plus cost reduction to your HR strategy. In other words, you need to do and transform your company and your people to the strategy. This is quite important. For example, we as PwC, we have started as well that we looked in our recruitment and talent acquisition, and then we found out, hey, we do it to localize, we are not globalized, and we sometimes just think into a German way or an Austrian way rather than in at least a European way. And that's why we thought what we can do better and map our global strategy to our local strategy on HR and IT. And for IT, I would say it's simply the same. You have to do is what would be your future direction on IT supporting HR, and not in your simply your HR strategy as well, a group strategy. And for me, stable security and the efficiency of IT service, that's what you need to come across. Now you would ask me, why are skills important? And that's quite simple. Skills are important if you have a strategic goal. How you want to gain your strategic goals if you don't have the right people and with the right skills on board. We transformed our organization into a European shared service center for recruitment and as well for sourcing. After now 12 months, we have certain experience, and I will talk a little bit about. But now we implement it as well. Technology map to our organization plus to our strategy. If we have done this with our IT, we followed for sure our legal rules, because that is as well for clients quite important. Is legally everything compliant? Europe, Asia Pac, China rules, etc. So you all know all of those legal requirements. They come across from every country, which needs to be considered. And that's why we think all of those together needs then to map into a huge data pool, and the data pool helps you and help PwC, for example, to reduce as well our spend on sourcing, our spend on time, on recruiting, and help PwC to hire and onboard based on skills mapped to our strategy on organizational setup in Europe, the best people. And the skills are so important that we always gain more and more data. So we as PwC simply have more than 200,000 applicants annually. And on the other hand, that helps us really on building one shared service center and looking for the right guys. And after now 9 months of using AI, machine learning, we are able to reduce our sourcing center nearly to zero, because all the data with AI, with a proper machine learning, mapped the skills massively in a huge data lake and pump the data lake through AI, and then really create all the skills you need to map what we need to support our global strategy and help us to find the right people. And which is as well quite important for us to cost reduction, which is as well for most of our clients now a huge target is in such a small crisis we have at the moment. Hence, we reduce massively our time to hire and as well money we spend on headhunting, because we have so many data and we can map out as well skills applicants have, employees have, and maybe should have skills and must have skills, so that we have a very good conversation between skills, and then we really can provide for our client as the B2C partnership the right people. And what we have learned is this universal remedy of AI is not a universal remedy if you would not follow your strategy, your transformation of organization, your change management, your legal, and as well to your technology. That's really all 5 topics are key to be successful. Use AI, use machine learning, and then with those huge data lake, you have really the chance to get a data ocean. But the data ocean, you know at the end based on AI every drop, and then you know which drops helps you somewhere. If you are thirsty, then you take the sweet water rather than the salt water. So, and that's really what we have done, which is a huge success, cost reduction, and we are much more efficient and have the right people with the right skills to support our strategy.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for Phenom's second annual Skills Day. I'm John Harrington, Senior Director of Product Marketing at Phenom, and today I'm going to talk about how organizations can hire people with the right skills for faster time to productivity. As you just heard, there's a tremendous amount of value that can be had by taking a skills-forward approach to talent acquisition. But this only happens when organizations are able to move beyond their traditional approach to one that fully embraces skills data. So what does that approach actually look like in real terms? Today, we'll bring some clarity to that question. We'll explore the differences between hiring processes that fail to take advantage of skills data that's often right at your fingertips. And we'll compare that to see what we can leverage at every step. You'll come to see how this approach not only enhances TA outcomes, but sets the stage for streamlined pre-boarding, onboarding, and long-term employee success. Once I hand it over to Jackie and Maggie from our solutions consulting team, you'll come to see how this is achievable with a purpose-built platform that accounts for all relevant talent stakeholders. So let's begin. We'll start by diving into the traditional hiring process. Once hiring teams have aligned on a job description, resumes, and they begin to flow in with applications, these documents encapsulate everything about a person's capabilities, how they align to what a role requires. Whether they're explicitly called out or not, both these examples are rich with skills data. And now that we have applicants available to evaluate, we move to candidate screening in the interview process. Each of these steps involves a subjective set of evaluations, and these rarely capture the full breadth of what a candidate can offer. Often, candidates are dismissed from a process because a hiring team failed to take into account the valuable context, or hiring decisions are made with limited or fragmented data, leaving organizations to rely on their gut feelings instead of valuable context. At no point in the traditional process is there a deliberate, systematic effort to extract and leverage skills data. And as a result, organizations miss out on the opportunity to holistically understand candidates. They fail to effectively align talent with their business needs. And worst of all, they struggle to make decisions that'll have a lasting impact. So, Let's take a closer look at what a skills-driven approach looks like and what the key differences are. At every step, whether by parsing resumes, analyzing job descriptions, interacting with candidates through automated processes, or taking an AI-infused approach to screening and interviewing, a skills-forward approach extracts valuable data and context, and this can be applied to create better outcomes for both talent and business stakeholders. By leveraging a talent data platform that's powered by AI and a skills-driven approach, every candidate can have a rich profile created that automatically takes their skills data into account. This profile doesn't just tell hiring teams what's captured on their resume. It highlights their capabilities, their potential, and even gaps you'd want to account for when sizing up the fit. Extracting and applying skills data enables AI to analyze candidates' skills, experience, job levels, and even past interactions to calculate a fit score. This score allows recruiters to prioritize engagement with the most qualified candidates. So instead of wasting time, you're able to zero in on who truly aligns with the role. Furthermore, with rich skills data, talent pools are no longer generic. You can segment candidates into tailored groups and create hyper-personalized outreach strategies that drive better engagement. Having more skills data at your disposal also supercharges the effectiveness of generative AI. Recruiters and hiring managers can auto-generate detail-rich job descriptions, draft personalized outreach that resonates and drives conversion with top candidates, and gets insights on candidate job alignment without needing to undertake hours of manual analysis. A skills-driven approach also makes hiring faster, smarter, and more precise. It helps hiring teams handle high volumes without sacrificing quality. That's right, skills-driven hiring is not only relevant for knowledge workers or corporate roles, it can be just as transformative for frontline positions. For frontline roles, pre-hire assessments that are woven into the hiring process can match candidates to job requirements and do it with precision. This ensures they possess critical skills before a hiring decision is made. And this further automation of candidate engagement also allows recruiters to gather essential skills without sacrificing speed, which is absolutely critical for high volume roles. For example, in the healthcare setting, this approach can help you find registered nurses that possess highly specialized skills, like patient care expertise, technical proficiency with medical equipment, and the ability to thrive in high pressure environments. And you can do it all in an informed, faster, and more equitable hiring process that aligns with candidates' skills and your needs. And this is where the value of a skills-first approach really stands out. You're leveraging automation, you can accelerate hiring without sacrificing quality. RNs can be automatically matched based on the skills that matter. And your organization becomes better equipped to handle surges in demand, whether it's seasonal needs or critical healthcare staffing. Let's keep exploring where this approach benefits TA throughout the entire process. When you take a skills-driven approach, you also unlock efficiencies across candidate screening and interviews. Skills data allows AI to automatically evaluate resumes and profiles against predefined role requirements. This isn't just keyword matching, it's intelligent analysis based on context, experience, and inferred potential. This way, only the best fit candidates make it to a recruiter and a hiring manager's desk. Leveraging skills data we've gathered earlier in the process, we can generate tailored interview questions that are aligned with specific requirements of the role and of the candidate's profile. For hiring managers and interview teams, this means interviews are focused and they're actionable. For candidates, it shows that your organization values your unique skills and your experience. When you're fully embracing a skills-based approach, the value doesn't just stop at hiring. So let's take a look at what happens when you've used skills data to make a hiring decision and you're ready to transition candidates to employees. With skills data in hand, pre-boarding and onboarding aren't about starting from scratch. Employees enter the role with a clear understanding of what's expected and where they excel. And by the same token, talent management, HRBPs, people managers, they're fully equipped to design the appropriate onboarding journeys that can get employees productive in less time. From day one, employees can be placed on customized development paths that are aligned with their skills, their strengths, their aspirations. Managers can make more informed decisions, whether it's about training, upskilling, internal mobility. All of these are powered by a foundation of rich skills data versus needing to start from square one on day one. This unlocks long-term value for both employees and for the organization. And none of it's possible without a talent data platform, one that's purpose-built for hiring and for talent management. It accounts for job seekers, sourcers, recruiters, hiring managers, interviewers, all talent leaders. It gathers or provides them with actionable skills data at every step. For recruiters, it's about automating tedious tasks and prioritizing top candidates. For hiring managers, it's about confidence in decision making. For talent management and talent leaders, it's about aligning workforce strategies with organizational goals. And for job seekers, it's about being seen for their potential, not just their past. When everyone works from the same foundation of skills data, hiring becomes smarter, faster, and more equitable. Now, I'll hand it off to Jackie and Maggie to show you what this looks like in practice. You'll come to see that this approach takes organizations from taking shots in the dark to hiring with precision. A skills-first approach doesn't just make hiring better, it completely revolutionizes it. And with the AI agents that you'll see as a part of the demo, you'll come to see how this revolution continues to grow. You empower every stakeholder and set the stage for success, from the first interaction with a candidate to their journey as a thriving employee. Thank you. All right, Jackie, let's take it away.
Thanks, John. When you think about using AI tools, one of the most important parts is that it's easy to use. It exists right within your workflow, so much so that you barely even notice it's there. Now, normally, I frown upon missing flair, but AI copilots make up for lack of flashiness with the ability to manage more and more complicated processes for recruiters and managers. So let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. What happens when you receive your open requisition, your open job? You typically take a look at the job description, chat with the hiring manager about what they're looking for, and then post the job. That information goes into your notes on the role and using it as a guide as you manually look at candidate profiles. Now let's talk about what that process looks like utilizing AI, or Phenom's intake augmentation tool. For every open role, the system creates a checklist for you to complete, starting with that intake meeting with the hiring manager and continuing through steps further along in the process. First, you're able to utilize Phenom's scheduling functionality to automatically schedule that meeting. Once scheduled, the system instantly creates a guide for you to follow in that meeting, pulling information from current employee responsibilities, alumni, market information gathering, all of these questions helping you to build out the skills profile to consider for this job. We fast forward to the day of the meeting, and that guide is right there with you throughout your workflow. As you chat with the hiring manager, you're not only able to see those questions, but check them off as you ask. You can take manual notes if you feel compelled, but because of Phenom's AI listening and learning, you don't have to. This enables you to be fully present in that meeting, following along with the requirements and digging deeper on those skills when necessary. The system will then create a full report, highlighting all the relevant and important skills-based information from your conversation with that hiring manager. You can always go back and review the questions you asked, the hiring manager's notes, anything that you took during the meeting, and the full transcript. That information can be used to update the job description, curate an interview guide, and create the ideal candidate for AI matching, even inform who you source. Well, speaking of sourcing, let's go ahead and start proactively sourcing for this role. Phenom's X Plus Source is one of those little cobots that you keep hearing about. Those cobots are basically the world's best personal assistant. You can ask it to do virtually anything within reason. Now, these personal assistants can get you the unreleased copy of Harry Potter book for your twins when they're on a train, but they can help you find candidates for your open role. Putting into the search, finding a care coordinator in the New York City area for the role that we just opened, similar to your hiring manager's best employee, Daniel Foster. That cobot or personal assistant will crawl through your database of talent to find leads to add to your short list of candidates. Since you've already updated the job with the optimal candidate profile, these candidates fit all the criteria of what you're looking for. If the short list of 127 candidates is too many, you can always start to narrow down the field even more with specific experience or skills that are necessary, ensuring that the coordinator has worked in a specific field before, or even specifying that you'd like them to have a master's in public health. Now that you're left with a short list of 32 highly qualified candidates, you can start to proactively reach out. That's not where our journey ends, though. The Cobot, or X Plus, allows your outreach to be extremely personalized to these candidates' skills and experience without asking you to comb through each profile and write that outreach yourself. One thing that I know about recruiters is that you like to be proactive. Since you finished the intake meeting, sourced candidates, and reached out to them personally, you want to be set up for when those job applications start rolling in. That means setting up a screening questionnaire that aligns with those skills and an interview guide for your hiring manager to validate those skills. Your friendly little neighborhood Cobot is back to do those things for you. Speaking of, after the job's been posted for a bit, the skills that you initially mapped out with the hiring manager during the intake meeting are now part of Phenom's AI Fit Score, allowing you to sort through your applications briskly. Your job is now populated with leads and applicants, people that you've reached out to, as well as those that have come to your career site and simply applied. You can see quickly and easily how many of those candidates meet all of the job requirements: a similar job title, experience match, location radius, but most importantly, the skills that you're looking for. Being that these are the top 10 candidates, let's invite them to complete that screening questionnaire that you created earlier. Even for those candidates that aren't a great fit for that role, let's take John here, for example. John's not a great fit for this position, but he was a referral. We want to ensure that we can still reach out to John and give him a white glove experience. You can continue to utilize that skills matching to get recommended positions for John. Maybe he's a better fit for that assistant manager or VP of global digital merchandising. As those candidates submit their skills screenings, you can provide feedback by watching each answer or simply utilizing the AI summary that was created for each video submitted. You can quickly read the summary of those skills and move the candidate forward to an interview with the hiring manager. For one of our healthcare customers utilizing this tool alone, they were able to decrease their time to fill from 72 days to 59 days. But skills analysis doesn't end there. You don't need to worry about preparing your hiring manager for the interview scheduled. That Cobot is back to guide them through the interview process. When hiring managers are logged into their platform, they can view all candidates associated with their jobs, view those candidate fit scores, and prepare for their upcoming interviews. The interview assistant offers the opportunity for hiring managers to get acquainted with the candidate's profile and the expectations that you have set on the importance of their skills, guiding them through questions that you've curated that highlight the candidate's proficiency within those selected skills. Once the interview is complete, the evaluation form follows the same blueprint, giving the hiring manager the ability to give feedback on the specific skills they chatted about. Phenom's purpose-built platform uses skills in an intelligent way for all relevant talent stakeholders. Whether that's candidates, recruiters, or hiring managers, the platform and those cobots are populated to make the experience as seamless as possible. I'll now kick it over to Maggie, who will continue on that seamless track by introducing us to automations.
All right. In Jackie's demo prior, you saw how artificial intelligence can assist with a recruiter and hiring managers. So now let's take over from an automations level. Let's talk about this not only from a knowledge worker, but also frontline workers. So skills aren't just for knowledge workers, but they're also for frontline. There's so much valuable context and data in creating a really robust profile that we're seeing on the front end hiring piece. And you can easily transition that to an employee. But let's take a peek at that care coordinator role that Jackie was reviewing. Now there's instrumental skills in that role, right? So let's create and run an automation to flag these for a hiring manager. So in the care coordinator role, you can see the certain matching criteria around skills that we're taking a look at. That acute care, trauma nursing, those are pieces that are instrumental again for those hiring managers. In the CRM automations, you're taking a peek at how we can run these. Now, there's already one that I created. Let's take a look. We can preview what this says. So if any type of candidate comes in or lead inside of this platform, you're able to see that any of those skills, healthcare management, trauma care, those are pieces here that we can automate and get right over to hiring managers immediately, so we don't have to waste that time. And you can do this and set it up. I have mine set up for a quick 3-hour time frame as soon as somebody comes in. This can cut down on that time to hire for the hiring managers. Now, this is also applicable to frontline roles. When you're building these automations based on skills, you can also do it on assessments, and you can experience and assess skills, personality, and behavioral traits to hire faster as well. Let's take a look at that automation engine. There are automations here that we see that care coordinator role is coming on in. We got their name, we got pieces of information from them. But what about screening questions? How do we actually ask them some of those top needed questions before they even start interviewing? Well, you can set up an automation flow to do such thing. So when they're there and when they're going through things, you're gonna see I'm over on a single choice question. Over here, it's asking me, let me rate my proficiency level from a trauma care. How instrumental would that be to understand your proficiency levels of proficient, beginner, or even just, I don't have any at all. Let's maybe put those people a little bit further back in the automation level and let those proficiency levels of those high trauma care nurses kind of come in through the pace. You're gonna see that you can automate how and what you wanna do with those candidates based on how they answer that question. This can, again, help cut that time down to understand if they're proficient, we wanna get them over to that hiring manager way faster, versus maybe if they have none, they might be a better fit for another role. Finishing up in the automation engine, let's take a look at the assessment flows. Thinking of that care coordinator, and maybe we want to actually ask them to go through a judgment assessment and assess those skills even before they come in the platform. You can do that with standard screening questions, but this will help gather additional pieces to like their personality, to how they behave in certain judgment areas. And these questions can be automated. You can run them to recruiters or hiring managers and get a glimpse of how they'll actually be before that interview happens. These assessments can really help also drive that time to hire to a minimum.
Thanks, Maggie. In the past, skills have primarily been tied to talent development. But with the availability of new tech like ontologies and AI agents, they are finding their way into more and more talent management activities. Stay tuned for some new ways skills are being used to fuel employee growth and retain high-performing talent.
Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Morrow, Vice President of Strategy here at Phenom. Now we heard from Francis at Deloitte earlier today about skills economics, meaning the need to understand both the demand your business goals place on your need for skills and the supply of skills you have in the organization. Now, mapping skills to existing roles and collecting accurate skills insights from your employees in order to create an actionable and intelligent skills plan, that can be a complicated endeavor. And with the major disruptive forces over the past few years, a pandemic, a global political conflict or conflicts, global inflation, and this little thing known as generative AI, this business planning is more complex now than it's ever been. And these ever-shifting needs require that the plan be very flexible. So this skills plan is somehow more complicated, needs to be more fluid, and is more important than ever. No big deal. But we know that talent leaders are up to the task because they know that skills are fundamental for talent agility. As my friend Cliff would tell you, one of their better attributes is that they are exchangeable and transferable between roles, providing the next level of flexibility for business and talent planning. However, realizing their value begs difficult questions around skills economics, like, to meet my business goals, how will I know what skills I need? And when I look across my organization, how will I know what skills I have? Enter the skills ontology. This nifty little tool isn't actually all that little. It's a huge collection of relationships. Skills relations to other skills, role relations to other roles, and how roles and skills fit together. This is the answer to how will I know? It gives visibility to where skills are required for different jobs and what skills your employees likely already possess. It uses market data to tell you what skills are emerging and declining, and gives you the ability to rapidly build a solid model for supply and demand without requiring a ton of manual effort to mine, curate, and update. Now, unfortunately, that was the easy part. Now, I'm not downplaying the beauty of problem identification or the ability to now clearly know and understand what your company's skills gaps are, but ultimately, actioning on this information is the game. That means filling those skills needs by either buying, borrowing, or building that talent that you need. Now, unfortunately, these killer bees of talent planning leave most people frustrated by the skills buzz because they just don't know how to put all of this data into meaningful action. Now, in the last section of our program, John talked about how Phenom can help improve the buy portion of your workforce plan by elevating the experience for your candidates and recruiters. But talent shortages and the expense of external hiring requires that a solid build strategy be in place as well. Now, the beauty of unifying talent data in a platform is that you can use that same data to execute both effectively, creating a common language of understanding that the organization can use to hire efficiently and facilitate growth. This common language is an important first step to connect key stakeholders for internal growth. That means employees, their managers, as well as the talent management and talent acquisition teams. Now, if skills are going to be central to your talent growth strategy, they need to become central to your daily business as well. So understanding how skills relate to the jobs to be done will drive clarity among these stakeholders. But then what happens next? We're so frequently asked, now that I have the skills data squared away, how do I put it to work? Now, this really is the hard part, not only choosing the right actions to fill the gaps, but really executing them and executing them at scale. Many development initiatives fall flat because there's just a lack of understanding from employees about the outcome of participating in upskilling activities. Now, this is typically due to a lack of alignment between the recommended learning plan and the employee's aspirations. Oftentimes, this is made worse by a lack of a manager's understanding of the ways that they can contribute to and support their employees with the appropriate suggestions. The answer here is personalization. And if you know anything about Phenom, you know that personalization is not new for us. During last year's Skills Day, we highlighted the ability for skills to power personalization for employees. This enhanced level of personalization not only gives employees highly relevant recommendations for career options, mentorships, gigs, and learning opportunities, but it also encourages them to provide more information about their experience and their aspirations. These comprehensive employee profiles are exactly what managers need to have more meaningful conversations with their team members. But it's also critical to help talent management to figure out the shortest path to build the skill sets that they need. Coming out of our last Skills Day, we saw companies start to move forward with putting their skills strategy into action, but there was still a bit of an elephant in the room: how to scale. So as we know, technology is just one part of the value realization journey. Effective deployment of any technology requires maximizing adoption. And technology that's going to touch every employee in the organization and potentially change the dynamic of the employee-manager relationship, gosh, that's not an elephant. That's a whole jungle, right? And HR is going to need to help their entire workforce navigate this jungle by making the strategy effective and the investment worthwhile. So for talent management, the solution is simple. Just always be on. So that means being ready to answer employee questions any time of day and making time always for managers who may need guidance on how to coach their teams. And also, for sure, making sure that your reporting is available on demand so that executive teams understand the progress that you're making towards the goals of this strategic workforce plan. Now, this might sound like a daunting ask, but it's really where Phenom can also help. And that help comes in two forms: AI agents and automation. Automation isn't meant to replace relationship building, it's meant to augment it. It's there to make sure that communication remains consistent, that talent pools stay current, and that the latest and greatest upskilling opportunities are presented at the right time. And AI agents are your always-on career coaches for employees. They're leadership coaches, again, always on for managers. And they're personal assistants for you and for your HR business partners. AI agents and automation are how you make your skills data actionable and how you deliver personalization at scale. These powerful tools are also how you ease the burden of change management with your employees, their managers, and your HR colleagues. But they can't be disconnected. They truly have to be in the flow of the work. And they can't be generic. They have to be persona specific in order to drive the highest engagement and the best results. But here at Phenom, we don't just talk, we walk. So let me kick it over to Mark and Ryan to show you what this experience looks like for your employees, for your managers, and for you. Let's check it out.
Let's take a journey to see skills in action within talent management. Skills are the fuel that are leveraged by AI agents to then drive strategy in all the tasks you're looking to do in talent management. The foundation of skills starts with an industry-centric ontology. The ontology is built to understand the relationship between roles and skills that are typically found across your company. This data is then standardized with not only skills, but additional important context in the ontology. For example, within our finance ontology, there's over 5,700 roles mapped out with standardization for each of those specific nuances for your industry. For each role, attributes that are relevant to the role, such as job families, have been mapped out along with the skills associated with that role. Each skill has a standardized definition and a skill type as well. But now for the big question. What do we do to make this all actionable? Additional layers of your company context are then added to the ontology to provide a deep understanding of how skills are deployed across your organization. The dashboard view provides quick analysis on your workforce. As you drill down further, you can localize your analysis to specific areas of the organization and really see key insights, roles, and progressions across the organization. We can also look at a skills breakdown inside of this specific department, including the critical and emerging skills, as well as skills that may have competency gaps across the organization. As we identify these gaps, AI agents can then assist you in a variety of actionable tasks, such as creating learning plans that are then being able to be published out in action to your employees. AI agents can also assist strategic workforce planning initiatives, such as growth planning or even risk mitigation. As you select roles that are important for your plan, you will have quick access to all the role-specific insights, and then you can add some additional context to your workforce plan. Agents then help you start modeling out specific goals, KPIs that you're working towards. Once the framework is in place, AI agents provide additional guidance
to how to execute that plan by leveraging build, borrow, or even buy strategies. Agents can identify who at the organization is ready now, who are ideal employees for upskill, as well as what's available in the external market from a TA perspective. Shifting to the point of view of your people leaders, skills can also be the fuel that powers AI agents to help develop your team. The redesigned dashboard view will centralize all activities that are critical for your people leaders. Action Center outlines their to-do list, while AI Agents provides recommendations for tasks as well as any upcoming meetings are easily accessible from the dashboard. Hiring activities and to-dos are also just a tab away, with quick insights on your team, including their skill makeup and emerging skills that are required, and the ability to drill into specific information about individual employees, including their skills, performance, and potential risks that need to be mitigated to make sure they stay engaged and growing. Your people leaders' currency is time, and they never have enough of it. This is where automation agents can help. Whether it be to do simple tasks such as schedule one-on-ones and internal meetings across whatever preferred channel you have, or take it a step further and guide your team's growth. After my one-on-one with Jane, agents provide a summarization of those key insights from the conversation, as well as potential risk insights. Through this summary, you can start actioning these insights, such as creating training opportunities for your team. Concern signals can also be identified as well, and AI agents can then provide recommended action plans. Without a massive amount of data entry, you can build out learning and growth plans that are specific to Jane and then share it with her so that she can start actioning on that plan. As year-end approaches and performance review time is around the corner, agents leverage context from all these interactions you've had throughout the year across your preferred channels again. Context comes from interactions such as from one-on-ones, skills gap and learning plan completions, as well as signals and flags that you have collected throughout the year and become the foundation to elaborate on rather than looking at review time as a moment in time. These insights can then be populated in your performance reviews to empower your team to build upon the analysis versus coming up from scratch. For HR and people leaders, skills act as the fuel that powers AI agents and automation across the end-to-end experience. Agents provide guidance to the human to complete simple as well as complex tasks. HR leaders will be empowered to use data to create actionable and intelligent organizational plans, while people leaders will be able to provide data-driven guidance to their team as well as use data to plan for the future. Now let's take a look from the employee's point of view.
Well, thank you. And what you just saw is how Phenom's X Plus AI agents can work for and with HR leaders, as well as people managers. Now, let's take a look at how those AI-powered agents can work with and for the employees at your own organization. Now, what you're going to see is how those AI-powered agents act like a personalized career coach by presenting AI skills-based recommendations to each and every one of your employees as they grow within inside of the walls of your own company. Now, what this means for the business in total is that it's one connected platform, connecting HR professionals' vision to that of people managers' leadership, and now finally the employees' day-to-day tactical application with the ability to grow right inside of the walls of your company. Now, ultimately, this means that by upskilling and building the workforce, you can meet the needs of today as well as the needs of the company tomorrow. Now, let's see what this looks like. As you can see, Teresa, an employee, is just logged in. Now, she could have been prompted by an email suggesting to come in and look at these recommendations. She could have also gotten a text message. She could have also navigated organically. Now, once in, Teresa has everything at her fingertips to either go it alone and search for opportunities, whether that be through finding her next role through internal mobility, Maybe that's organizing her own career path based off of skills inventory, or maybe even connecting with other mentors. But what she notices is that the AI X Plus powered agents are already working with and for her by presenting her with quick, easy, and personalized recommendations. You can see here that Teresa is starting to excel at financial analyst type of work. And that's a skill that she could continue to develop. Now, the AI and the skills already understand what Teresa has, but it also can identify the potential skills gaps that Teresa has, allowing the recommendations to suggest LMS coursework that would allow her to obtain those skills. And upon completion of the LMS coursework, Teresa is prompted to add those new skills she's obtained right to her employee profile. She also notices that not only is our LMS coursework recommended to her based off of her own profile, she can also see her featured career paths that have been made and worked on for her by the AI and X Plus. And finally, we see at the bottom related questions. These have been curated by the AI in understanding all of the suggested questions that either Teresa may have based off of other employees and the questions that they had. So for example, may I and can I find relevant mentors for coaching? What does a current career path look like? This will provide even more prompts for her to take tactical action right inside of the platform.
Thanks, Mr. Tooker. We've seen a ton of applications for skills in both talent acquisition and talent management, and the importance of unified data in both to create the best experience for your talent and your users. Hopefully, this has given you guidance on where you can get started with skills in your organization. For companies that have already started the skills journey, we frequently hear the concern about skills governance. So we couldn't close out Skills Day without addressing the most exciting topic on the agenda, governance. Let's get into it.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be with you at Skills Day with Phenom. I'm having an amazing time, and I'm sure you are too. And I'm very excited to talk to you a little bit today about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which, believe it or not, is skills governance. But let me first do a little bit of introduction. So my name is Dr. Sandra Laughlin. I am the Chief Learning Scientist at a company called EPAM Systems. EPAM is a global digital software engineering company. We don't build our own products. We build products for some of the most amazing organizations out there. If you opened up your phone and looked at all the different apps on there and things that you use every day, these digital platforms, this is the kind of thing that EPAM has probably contributed to the development of. I am here talking about skills governance today because in addition to being an amazing engineering company, EPAM is possibly the world's oldest, most mature skills-based organizations. We actually began the skills journey 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, when we were founded. And I wanted to kind of explain a little bit about how we got there, and then talk about, why governance matters and how we do that for ourselves. So we started out needing to match people to work. So as a professional services company, this is what we do. Our core product is people. And so from the very beginning of the organization, the leaders wanted to do that in a data-driven way. And so they started by thinking about, well, what is the common denominator that can connect people to work? And they hit on skills as that kind of core data foundation. And so they began, using Excel documents and other kind of rudimentary things to write down all of the different skills that were required to do the work our clients were requesting. So we took projects, turned those into tasks, and then turned those into skills. And then separately, we began documenting, well, what are the skills of all the people that are in the organization? And then we began to match them. Today, we use skills across the entire talent lifecycle. We use skills to hire, to talent acquisition. We use it for learning, for workforce management, so staffing and other talent management. We use it for performance management and rewards and compensation, and we use it to do workforce planning. So really like understanding the skills that are needed for the organization, looking down the road, looking internally, and finding ways to match those either through hiring or upskilling, or now AI agents are helping us as well. So over time, we've tried a lot of things. We've learned some stuff. We've done some failures as well. But we have hit upon a mechanism of governance that we have been using now for at least 10 years. And it is a governance model that is designed to help us deal with the complexity and the dynamism of skills data. So when I think about skills, I think about it in terms of a fraction. So the denominator, so the bottom part of the fraction, are all the skills the company needs in order to fulfill its business objectives. And then the numerator are the skills that we actually have in the business. So this can be, across all the different employee types, across our gig workforce, even across our student population and our hiring pipeline. It's all the skills that people have that we can bring to bear to do our work. And the delta between those things, that's the gap, right? That's where we need to be building new skills, finding new people, and like getting that work done. So the challenge with this fraction or the skills data is that those two, the denominator and numerator, they're always changing. And so the whole purpose, from my point of view, of skills governance is building a mechanism so that you know your denominator and numerator, and B, you are able to lock down that dynamic, always changing set of numbers and facts and skills ontologies, so that you can use the new ontologies to govern the processes that you have in HR. So there are like 4 different tenets or 4 different things that I think about when I'm thinking about how we do this. So the first and most important is that for EPAM, skills governance is actually owned by the business. So what does this mean? It means that we believe that the people that understand what skills are required for any role are the ones who are closest to that role. And that would be the people that are doing the job today. So if you were to take our Cloud Center of Excellence, for example, the head of the Cloud Center of Excellence and her team owns the skills ontologies for all the different roles in our cloud practice. So they are the ones who are closest to the work. They know what our clients are looking for. They know what good looks like. And for that reason, we have designated a part of their job, not a side gig, but actually part of what they do as their job, is to be in charge of the skills ontology. And they are, of course, heavily supported by other components of the organization. So in practice, we have a people analytics team who is constantly monitoring all the different data sources around what skills we need in the organization and what skills we have today. And they are sending periodic reports to the head of our cloud practice to let her know what they're seeing, right? So they're able to kind of look at all the different sources of data and kind of give her a sense of when there is a lot of change that's occurring. And on a periodic basis, and the frequency really depends on how fast things are changing, the head of our Center of Excellence says, okay, you guys, things have changed enough. We now need to come back together as a group and look at the skills that we have said are important. We need to see if they're all still important, if we need to add things, or if we need to kind of let some skills go. And then that person brings together the governance team. And the governance team is comprised of a couple other people from the cloud practice, as well as all the different major functions in the people organization. So performance management and rewards, forecasting and workforce planning, talent acquisition, mobility, everyone's coming together to discuss what to do about the changing skills in the cloud roles. So the meeting, which again happens on a frequent basis, the frequency just depends on how fast things are changing, involves the SMEs sitting and discussing and deciding what skills they want to add to the ontologies for their roles, and what skills they want to get rid of. Right, so they're fixing that ontology to make it fit the organization for today. And then the people organization is sitting and listening and asking questions, because they're going to have to now go and be responsible for aligning all the different HR processes and systems and tools to this new taxonomy. So the head of the learning team is going to be listening and asking questions to understand what are these new skills that we need people to learn, so that she can go off and help to curate all the right learning content to support those new skills. The talent acquisition team is likewise listening, asking questions, trying to understand, okay, what are these new skills that we need to be hiring for? Where should we be looking for them? What are some of the roles, or they may have had this before? What are some other keywords that we should be searching for? Right? They're discussing together how to take the new skills that have been added and build those into our processes, so that we are now getting talent within the organization to have the new skills that we've been asking about. So the importance of the people analytics function in this cannot be overstated, right? They're the ones who are monitoring all the different data sources. And so they have to kind of continually feed the governance infrastructure with the right information, so that the business knows when to step in and realize that decisions need to be made. And the relationship between the HR organization and the business is very, very complementary and supportive, right? The people organization, we know that the business understands their roles the best, and the business knows that the HR organization understands people, processes, and tools, and how to make all of this happen. So because EPAM's been doing this whole skills thing for a long time, we often get asked questions related to governance. And so I thought I would just jump and share a few more answers to those here, in case these are questions that you also have. So one question we hear a lot is, how many skills does EPAM have, and how many skills do we need? So keeping in mind that we've been doing this for a really long time, EPAM has something like 130 skills on average for each role. Of those, we have high quality verified skills data on about half of them. So the other half is AI inference that hasn't been validated yet. And the half that are really validated are the ones that we're using to make decisions. Don't try to do that right away. Really, the goal for being a skills-based organization and having skills is to use the information to make decisions. And that means getting really high quality data on those skills. So in terms of how many should you have, the answer is not that many at first. You really want to just have enough that you can collect good data, get some good information, and start to use that information to make business decisions. And as you get more and more mature, as you get more comfortable, you can add additional skills on top. But I would say start with a few that are most valuable and important. I often also get asked, how frequently should we update skills? It should be as often as you need to. And I would say minimally every year, bring the governance team together to have them look at the data. Who should be involved in governance? I think that the business, as I said, needs to be the driver here because they understand the roles. However, HR, the entire people organization, is a partner, a critical partner in bringing all of that to life. Right? The people analytics team is seeding that information to the business. The business is kind of making a decision about what to add or or remove from the ontologies, and then the people organization are the ones that actually make all of this go. So it's not, I guess, really a matter of like who's leading it. It's more like all these parties need to be working together, and there needs to be a driver for the governance process to be instigated. And the last question I hear related to governance is, how should we handle changes to our skills? So exactly as I've described, right? You want to be monitoring constantly through the people analytics team, the skills that are being added to roles in your industry, things that are coming down the pike. Like you really want to have people whose part of their job it is to monitor all the different changes and skills for your for roles that are in your organization. And then, when you have enough change, you bring the people in, the business in, to decide if they want to change or how they want to change the ontology to reflect all the different dynamic skills conditions in the marketplace. So I hope that was helpful. There's a lot to be said about skills governance. It's so important. It's one of the things that I always recommend to clients that they start doing at the beginning to lay the foundation, start building again that muscle memory for the business, working with HR and with data to understand the skills, and then practice figuring out which ones are most critical for your organization for the near term, and then realigning all of your processes to support them. So thank you so much again to the Phenom organization, and I'm passing this back to Jesus for the next steps in the process.
Thank you all for attending Skills Day. And I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about governance, why it's so important, and how technology can really simplify that process. When you think about governance, I think almost everyone I speak with always has this dreadful thought. It's like, oh, it's going to be impossible. How do I scale it? How do I do it right? What's in it for me, and what's the outcome that I should expect? This is where technology can greatly help. As you've seen across all of the sessions today, technology is not just here to help make you more productive, especially AI. It's here to also simplify processes, simplify how you govern your skills, how you bring that to life, and how you keep it evolving over time. So it's really important for us to think about governance as a habit. It's something that you have to do as an organization to ensure you're always up to speed. But how does that actually play into technology? Well, technology can bring 4 key elements that will help you and your organization govern your skills. It really starts with explainability, smart nudges, automation, and contextualizing skills to your organization, to your individuals, to your aspirations and your goals, and your key business outcomes. Let's take a step forward and think about those 4 scenarios. What does that actually mean, and how can technology help expedite this process for you? Well, let's start with explainability. Finding skills across your jobs, finding skills across employees, across multiple sources is great, but making it explainable to your users is more important. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a business analyst job at your organization. If AI discovers there is a data analytics skill that's relevant for this role, that's awesome. It sounds pretty good, right? It sounds like it's a pretty good skill associated to the role, but how much more power would you have in your fingertips if you knew that it was coming from learning courses, if it was coming from employees, recruiters, hiring managers? These are all multitudes of sources that really help bring in explainable AI. Explainable AI is just going to make your life easier because you'll know where skills are coming from and how we're inferring that element for your business. That's number 1. It's really important to know where data is coming from. Number 2, let's take that a step further. You've created your skills ontology. You've launched with it today. Everything's great. You're almost at that skills nirvana. Almost there. Not quite there yet, but almost. Now you have to think about, well, how do I actually contextualize this? How do I bring all of those different data points together in a meaningful way that's contextualized to my organization? This is where contextualization matters. This is where engagements matter. This is where behaviors matter. This is where AI can really help make this more unique to you. So you have all of these skills coming from multiple sources. You know how they're getting there. Our systems are now contextualizing it to your job, to your industries, to your employee aspirations. That's only really the beginning, what I like to call the beginning. Now let's fast forward just a little bit more. Now you're 6 months into your journey. Everything is perfect, right? You've launched your skills. You're seeing a lot of value, but how do you stay relevant, right? How do you make sure that it's dynamic and that it's always evolving with the market? Well, you have to take into account market data, right? And if you think about the 3 scenarios I've just spoken about, how do you do this effectively in scale? Well, that's really where technology can help really enhance that experience for you. It's less about you combing through millions of records, hundreds of millions of records probably, from performance data to completion data to market data, and instead utilizing technology to really help culminate skills at scale. Of course, that's only part of the process of governance. Now let's fast forward just a little bit more. You've now incorporated all of these different elements into your skills ontology. It's dynamic in nature, it's evolved with you, you've got all these new skills coming in, you've got skills that are maybe becoming less relevant. How do you actually maintain that? This is really why governance is key. And to Dr. Sandra's point, this is a business object, right? A business objective. It is intended for your organization to really validate skills at scale on a regular frequency. But to do that, you need automation and you need smart nudges. We don't want this process to really be more micromanaged, make it more of a, okay, well, I have to do this. Think of performance reviews, right? Everybody always dreads those moments because it's like, all right, it's that time of year again. How do I do this? How do I culminate or take data from the last year and how do I make it factual for my reviews? We're removing that middleman, essentially. Technology is helping you have all of the information up front, all of the sources, and all of the decision-making capabilities at your fingertips. But to be able to do this at scale, you have to involve your business. Dr. Sandra was talking about that as well, right? Who governs our skills? Who makes sure that the right skills are at play for the right businesses? It's really your business in partnerships with HR. You have to know what skills you need, you have to know what skills are required, and you have to know what skills are emerging. Automation can play a very significant role because it can really help simplify when and who is involved in that process. Automation can really help you stay ahead of the game by automating the assessment of skill gaps, role alignment, and even workforce planning. So as you think about subject matter experts within your business units, within your functions, you might have a string of approvers in your organization. Maybe you're a regulated industry. Think of finance industries as an example, where you have to showcase proof that validation has happened. How do you do this at scale when you have thousands of positions in your organization and you have thousands of skills and HR doesn't know all of the skills at scale? This is where automation plays a big critical part. It's going to help you really build out processes that will make this process easier. If you're thinking about governance from a yearly perspective, you can just set it and forget it. Once those year-end reviews come, once those year-end validation processes come, we can automatically set up nudges, smart nudges in this case, to make sure that managers, HRs, make sure that all team members that are needed to validate skills are nudged. But now let's take another step forward, right? You've gone through that process, you've validated your skills, you're using technology, everything's happy dandy. How does this actually trickle down to your business? Well, part of that validation process is the approval, right? Once those skills are approved, technology is going to take everything that's approved and trickle it downstream to your recruiters, to your talent teams, to your hiring managers, to your employees. And think back to automation and smart nudges. It's not just built to validate skills, it's built to also help expedite your talent, your workforce. Think of a brand new skill in the market. Let's take a healthcare example this time. You have nurses coming in, they're As we all know, healthcare is probably moving more into a robotics type nature. You have healthcare coming in, you have nurses coming in who need to be trained on robotics. It's a brand new skill when it comes to robotic surgery. How do you make sure that employees who sit within a certain role are nudged or triaged down so that they know these are your learning opportunities that you need to work on because your job is evolving, your required skills are evolving? How do you make that very valid to them, proof focused to them, but also make it actionable for them? And it's the same thing across the entire ecosystem. It's not just for employees, it's not just for managers, it's not just for your HR teams. All of these systems of flexibility, transparency, automation, and smart nudges exist across the entire ecosystem, from talent acquisition to talent management to your HR teams and to your business objectives. So with that in mind, I really want to take one last moment to talk about the power of technology. Doing all of what I just mentioned above manually in spreadsheets, I've seen it time and time again, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. It makes it very difficult for your managers to even know what happened last year. It makes it very difficult for them to know how to even use these files. That's always the biggest complexity with governing a skills ontology. Technology is just making it that much easier. It's making it easier across the board, from talent acquisition to talent management. So ultimately, technology is here to help you. It's here to help expedite your organization into that skills nirvana that we're all targeting for. There's value across the board. It's also expediting how do you tie those skills to business objectives, business outcomes, recommendations, and learning opportunities. Thank you everyone for joining us today at Skills Day. That's my end for today. I'm gonna hand it off to JD now. JD, come on up.
Welcome back, and it's great to see you all again. We've got a few more surprises. But before I get to those surprises, I have to ask you, do you feel more confident in skills than you did before? Were you able to digest all of this skills content and make kind of meaningful connections within your organization? Are you ready to go? And I bet the answer is yes. So I wish you luck on that journey. Now, on the surprises, there's 3 key assets or takeaways that Phenom can help you with. The first is you can get a look at the emerging and declining skills for your industry and what Phenom calls our State of Skills report. In addition to that, some organizations have voiced to us that it's still hard for them to truly understand what skills means to their environment. How do they apply skills in their own personalized way? And for that, we have what we call as our skills snapshot, which allows you to see your actual data mapped to roles within your organization and understanding those roles and common career progressions. This is so valuable in the process to better understanding skills in your environment. I really hope you take advantage of that and take us up on our offering. And last but not least, I want to welcome everyone to I Am Phenom. I Am Phenom is the place where you're going to hear about the latest tech innovations with 5,000 other professionals, over 75 breakout sessions, and a ton of time to network with your peers. You don't want to miss out on this. I encourage everyone to be part of it. Thanks once again from everyone at Phenom, our customers who joined us today talking about their stories. We appreciate everyone joining us for Skills Day. Take care.